This week's Nut Job of the Week goes to Mike Huckabee. Those of you familiar with my radio show heard me flip out about Brian Fisher this week, and that was because in response to the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, Fisher said we should blame society for kicking God out of school. Now, this argument is always idiotic, but it reaches a whole nother level of morally repugnant when most of the victims were 6 or 7 years old. Well, Mike Huckabee decided to make the exact same argument as Fisher when he said on Fox News, quote, "Well, you know, it's an interesting thing. We ask why there's violence in our schools, but we systematically remove God from our schools. Should we be so surprised that schools would become a place of carnage because we've made it a place where we don't want to talk about eternity, life, what responsibility means, accountability, that we're not just going to have to be accountable to the police if they catch us, but one day we stand before our holy God in judgment? If we don't believe that, then we don't fear that." And so sometimes when people say, why did God let it happen? God wasn't armed. He didn't go to that school. God will be involved in the aftermath. Maybe we ought to let him in on the front end, and we wouldn't have to call him to show up when it's all said and done on the back end. So according to Huckabee, we shouldn't be surprised that our schools are getting shot up and that innocent kids are dying because we don't have prayer in public school and we don't worship God strongly enough. Now, unlike in my video about Brian Fisher from the radio show, I'm not going to blow a gasket and flip out. But I will say this. What you're hearing from the theocrats like Huckabee and Fisher is not sympathy. They claim to be men of Jesus, but they're using this tragedy to do a victory lap and say, "See, I told you, we should pay more attention to God." There's something deeply unsettling and unethical about that. And I'll leave you with this thought. How is what Huckabee's advocating any different from the Greeks saying after a tragedy, you know, if we only worshipped Apollo better, this wouldn't have happened? Or the Romans saying, you know, if we just spoke to Augustus more, it would have all worked out. Or, you know, if we had just sacrificed a sixth goat, we would have averted this crisis. It's not any different than that. And my message to Huckabee is simple. Look, you have a right to believe whatever the hell you want to believe about absolutely anything. And in fact, I'll even stand up for Huckabee's right to believe whatever he wants to believe, and even for him to say whatever he wants to say. But in the midst of a crisis where 20 children were killed and 6 adults, in a week where we had 2 mass shootings, the other one being the Oregon Mall shooting, please, I'm asking you, Mike Huckabee, I'm begging you, take your metaphysical, anti-scientific, unverifiable bullshit and shut the fuck up.